Welcome to Priceless Takes.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 23 of Priceless Takes. We are live from South Carolina in the United States. Pleasure to have you all with me this evening. We have a lot to get into. There has been a lot of news and a lot of big drama surrounding the NBA. But it wouldn't be possible by myself. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have Oscar Hardcastle joining me today. Tyson is unfortunately unavailable, so Oscar and I will go into a bit of a back and forth. I think there's a lot of things up for debate in this episode, but we will get right into the thick of things, guys. On the weekend, LeBron James led the Lakers to a 111-108 win over the Dallas Mavericks. What a comeback this was. They erased a 27-point lead on the way to the victory. It was a bit of what might you call it? A bit of karma, one might say, for how they choked away a huge lead of their own on Christmas Day when they went to Dallas. So, a bit of medicine for the Mavericks. The Lakers currently sit 2.5 games out of the 6th seed, which is free from the play-in, and they are 0.5 games out of the play-in. They're right on the cusp, but bittersweet victory for the Lakers. LeBron James down with a foot injury, and he was quoted through the audio mic, saying that he heard a pop in his foot lower knee region. Now, the latest reports are that LeBron will be out for at least 2 weeks. He'll be reevaluated at this time, and there is fear within the Lakers organization that there will be significant time missed. Now, the Lakers are currently down to the Grizzlies with about 4 minutes to go. It looks like they're going to lose out on this one, but in their next 10 games, they have a tough stretch, particularly with a lot of teams that are slightly above them in the standings. So we can count the Grizzlies off as 0-1, but they play the Thunder, the Timberwolves, then the Warriors, then the Grizzlies again. Then they play some Eastern Conference teams at home. They play the Raptors and the Knicks, back to the Pelicans, then the Rockets, then the Mavericks again. 6 of these 10 games are at home. Oscar, before I want to get into the actual nitty-gritties of the record, do you think that the Lakers are going to be able to carry the load without LeBron? Obviously, they made some trades. They got a good floor general in D'Angelo Russell, some nice pieces, some nice, what we would probably consider role players, but they do still have Anthony Davis. So how do you think the Lakers manage without LeBron through this injury?
D'Lo's out tonight, isn't he, as well? He's not on the team sheet. He didn't play.
Yeah, no, they Schroeder started tonight. Yeah,
But D'Lo didn't play.
yeah,
Is he injured as well?
That's a great question. Oh, you're catching me out here. I promise I do my research, guys.
But while you look at that, back to your question. I really think they're going to struggle. I mean, they're going to miss 36 and 6 a night, which he's averaging about that. So, I think they're going to miss they're going to miss his scoring. I mean, they don't have. I know they got D'Lo, but he's a big scoring guy. He gets boards. He gets assists. He has that floor general. He's got that impact on the team. That LeBron impact on the team. So I think they are going to struggle a bit more. I hope they don't drop because of injuries, because that would be very unfortunate. But I mean, I think they've got some good teams. They got coming up, Grizzlies, Knicks are doing all right. Pelicans,
the Knicks
Mavs.
have won. The Knicks are 6-0 since getting Josh Hart. So they're flying high. That'll be in LA though.
Even the Warriors, they're a bit of an up and down team. So I think they are going to struggle. Anthony Davis really needs to kick these next few weeks, and I'm afraid that it's going to be more than 2 weeks, because if he says he's had a pop in his foot, it could be a tear or something. That could be 6 to 8 weeks. So it might be more than 2 weeks, which would be very, very unfortunate for the Lakers. But yeah, I think they are going to struggle, but I reckon they can do it and can stay or get into that top 6. But they got to really work together as a team and try and fill those points that they're going to miss with LeBron out. So yeah.
Listen, Oscar, if I'm being honest, I love your optimism, but I just do not see any way the Lakers dig themselves out of this hole. Look, I have them going 3-7 in the next 10. I
Who they
think the
beat?
only I think the only games they win, I think they beat the
Thunder.
Raptors. I think they lose to the Thunder tomorrow night. It's the second night of the
Ooh.
back-to-back. That's the second night of the back-to-back on the
Yeah.
road. I think AD's probably not even going to play tomorrow. So I think it would be very good for the Lakers to get a win. I don't see it happening. I have them losing, to be honest, I have them losing the next 5 in a row. I don't see them, they're losing tonight. I don't think they'll beat the Thunder. They verse the Timberwolves on the road. They verse the Warriors on the road. Then they verse the Grizzlies back at home. I don't think they're going to win any of those games, personally. I see them beating the Raptors. I don't think they'll beat the Knicks. The Knicks are on a roll right now, unless they slump by the time they get to LA. I see them beating the Pelicans and the Rockets. And if LeBron's back by the time, best case scenario, he's back by the Dallas Mavericks game. Best case scenario for them.
You think
If
they're
he's
beating the
back-
Pelicans?
I think they've proven enough to beat the Pelicans the last few times, especially at home. Anthony Davis normally has pretty big games against the Pelicans, and they've had a bit of a slump heading into the All-Star break. Hopefully, post All-Star break, they can revive themselves. But at one point, they lost 10 in a row before the All-Star break. Zion's still not back. They're struggling internally. They're having a fair few injuries. So I think the Lakers can beat them. I think also towards the end of this 10-game stretch, they might start clicking a little bit more in their new rotation. But I think for the time being, that's gonna really hurt them. So realistically, they're gonna lose to the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and the Warriors, who are all only slightly above them in the seedings.
But you think they're going to drop below OKC?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
these
what are
next
they?
few
They're
weeks.
only. I think they're only half a game
Half a
behind
game, yeah.
in front of them right now. I think they'll drop. Personally, I did look it up for you. D'Angelo Russell's out with an ankle injury. That's something that's
Oh, okay.
probably from the reports I've also just remember off the top of my head. I think that's something that might have been troubling him in the past in Minnesota. He was on the injury report a bit on and off. But look, they got some good pieces, Oscar. They got Jared Vanderbilt. They got Malik Beasley. They got Rui Hachimura. Are these guys game? No, they're not. They're not. They're not game changers. They're not. You're not going to get Malik Beasley's not going to make 10 threes a game. He's going to be lucky to make 3 or 4 threes a game. That's if you get 4 threes a game from Malik Beasley, you're licking your chops saying, you know what, that's great, Malik, good job. Okay? Like, you're not getting big points from these guys. Maybe D'Angelo Russell, when he was in that Brooklyn Nets, D'Angelo Russell, he could go and get you 45. He was an all-star in the second season he was in Brooklyn.
Anthony Davis does need to drop 40 every now and then.
That's what I mean. But not even that. He's got to have an impact defensively as well. He's got to play both ends of the floor, and that's the only reason
got 5
they're
blocks
gonna.
today.
He does, but consistency is the big thing for Anthony Davis that's plagued him in the past. I think the good thing is Oklahoma is a very small team. For tomorrow, I think Vanderbilt especially, if I'm them, I'm putting Vanderbilt on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We saw what he did to Doncic on the weekend. He troubled Doncic a lot. He's long, he's wide, he got quick feet. He can play really he's listed as a small forward tonight, but when he was in Utah, he was playing center until they decided to start Walker Kessler, and he started balling out. So Vanderbilt's an extremely versatile player, and Gilgeous-Alexander, he's 6'5". Vanderbilt, I think, is about 6'9", 6'10", maybe even 6'8". He's around that 6'8" to 6'10" ballpark. We saw what he did to Doncic. I think he's going to be the primary defender for them. I don't know who else you put on Shai tomorrow night. So it's going to come down to that. You know, they lost Thomas Bryant, who gave them some good minutes if they wanted to start him at center. But now they got, I forgot the guy's name from Denver. Someone who's not that flashy. You know, Rui Hachimura is going to have to step up. They've been playing him off the bench. So realistically, LeBron needs to be there. The Lakers need to be fully healthy. Devon Reed, yeah, thank you. That's who they got. Look, the Lakers need to be fully healthy. They need to be fully healthy. They need to have things going in their favor for them to go on a run. And personally, by the time LeBron comes back, I think the season for the Lakers is going to be over, unfortunately. I really hope that they don't. I hope that they find a way.
It's a big
My
call.
best case scenario for them, I can't see them doing better than 6-4 over this run. I can't. That is the mat. That is.
Yeah, but you take 6-4.
They can take 6-4, but
if I'm the Lakers, I'm taking the 6-4.
That's the absolute best I see them doing. The Timberwolves, they could be without Gobert. He's been injured all year, but they don't have really anyone. I don't know. I just don't think, unless D'Angelo Russell comes back and has a revenge game of some sorts, but I just don't think he's the same player that was that scoring machine. I think he's really developed into a good floor general, but he can get you 25 points. I just don't think he can get you 40 or 50, but maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need him to be that facilitator, and Malik Beasley can have a great night, or Austin Reeves. He's been performing great off the bench.
Yeah,
I just don't think that they have the impact that LeBron James brings to the floor, because this is LeBron James. This is LeBron James who we're talking about here. This isn't some scrub who could be in and out of the lineup. He's still in my opinion, he's still a top 5 player in the NBA right now. I might even put him higher, just the way he performs. But I'm actually quite annoyed as a basketball fan, because, as much as I do support the Clippers, the NBA is at its best when the Lakers are winning. The NBA, the viewers are the best, the ratings are the best.
And when LeBron's doing well.
Exactly, right? When LeBron last season, even though the Lakers weren't doing good, when he had that 58-point game against the Warriors, everyone was going ballistic.
Yeah.
So when the Lakers are winning and LeBron's playing well, that is when the NBA is at its best. So from a basketball perspective of being a fan, it annoys me, because I want to see them potentially get some sort of momentum heading into the playoffs, just so there's that extra bit of hype around them, because that's a lot of good content to talk about. It's interesting, it's exciting, but I have to be objective, and I just don't see them getting out of this above the seed that they are right now. I think the 12 seed's the ceiling for them. They maybe catch the Trailblazers if they have a bad run of form, but if Dame Lillard's dropping 71 points a game, I think they're going to stay where they are. I hate to be pessimistic, but yeah, look, I don't know, Oscar. What other thoughts do you have? I've waffled on for about 10 minutes now.
I mean, I agree with you. I feel like they can still push into, how many games are left, really?
So if there's about 20 games for the Lakers, they have exactly.
I reckon they could still push into the play-in. I thought before that the playoffs, they might push up into the playoffs, maybe the 7th, 8th seed, probably. But now I think they could probably still make the play-in, and I hope they make the play-in. But I don't know, they're versing a good Memphis team today, and they lost, but not by that much. 10, 11, was it 12 points? 12 points.
Yeah, 12 points.
And, in the last 5 minutes, they took AD off and, put the bums on. But I feel like they can still make the play-in. And I hope LeBron comes back and they dominate, because I want to see them in at least the play-in. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not much.
I agree.
Them, but...
I do. I really do. And I hope LeBron's speedy recovery. I hope he gets back, because, just don't like seeing getting him injured. He's a great player. I do like him. But we are going to switch gears. And speaking of LA, we're going to go staying in LA, but we're going to go to the other side of LA to, in my opinion, the better side of LA, but many will disagree about that.
The West side.
Russell Westbrook. What an interesting acquisition he has been for the Clippers. There was a lot of people, including myself, who probably would have preferred for them to go after some other players, but obviously we have to embrace what's happened. They played 2 games. They're 0-2 in those 2 games. But They versed the Kings, who were sitting at the 3 seed, and the Nuggets, who were sitting at the 1 seed. In the Kings game in particular, for those of you who saw on my Instagram, I was quite livid about this game. 176, 175, double overtime thriller. 3 players scoring 40-plus points. Malik Monk, 45 off the bench. The Clippers were up 11 with 2 minutes 30 to go. And for me, they committed 4 straight turnovers. Paul George got his pocket picked twice. Marcus Morris had a bad pass. Norman Powell had an offensive foul on an inbounds play. We saw a similar story in the Denver game. They got there. They were down the whole game. They took their first lead with about 4 minutes 40 to go in the fourth quarter. Kawhi was on something else in that fourth quarter. He was cooking. He put them up. And mistakes again in overtime. And the thing is, Oscar, in these 2 games, Westbrook hasn't been on really in these periods. He was on in the fourth quarter of that Kings game. He had a big bucket to actually tie the game up. Yeah. And then he didn't play a single minute in the fourth quarter against Denver. He didn't play a single minute of overtime against Denver. And in that game, Westbrook had 19 points and he had 4 assists. He was 60% from the field and he had 5 steals. And since he's come to the Clippers, he's averaging 17 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals per game. Obviously, the downside is 4.5 turnovers, but that's a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. I think for the time being, you can live with that. Obviously, you want that to improve, but if he's going to have the ball in his hand, he's going to 2-to-1 isn't the I've seen worse. 56% field goal, 33% from 3, not great, but it's what we expect. 100% free throws, and the thing that's telling me, he's only shot 3 free throws, which means that he's being very selective in his shot selection. And a lot of the times when you see him taking a lot of free throws, it's because he's ball dominant. He's driving to the rim a lot. So I think personally, Westbrook has played quite well in this role, but they play the Timberwolves tonight. They sit at the 5 seed. They're 1 game behind dropping down into 7, which is the play-in. Oscar, the first thing I want to talk about is, are the Clippers going to win tonight? Do you think they'll go 0-3 with the Westbrook acquisition? They're playing at Crypto. They're playing at LA, so another home game. Rudy Gobert was doubtful when I checked last time. I'm going to check now again. They don't have Karl Anthony Towns. Obviously, they have Ant. He's probable. Gobert's probable for the game, so he's going to play. The Clippers, I believe, are 2-1 against the Timberwolves this year. But obviously Westbrook brings a different element. Do you think they win tonight? Or do you think they slip closer to the play-in?
I probably think they should win. But you never know. You don't see decent teams like that lose more than 3 in a row. So 3 or 4 in a row. So I think they should win. I think they will win. I hope they lose because it'll be funny. It was very funny. It'll be very funny if they lose because there will be a post on the Priceless Takes Instagram. No, but back to I think Russ. He's played well. I think there's like a thing around Russ that he's not going to perform in the fourth quarter, and he's going to make silly, panicky decisions in the fourth quarter. That's why they're not giving him minutes there. But I feel like you got to play your best players, and I think Russ is one of the better players on that Clippers team. So even though he does make silly decisions sometimes, he's been playing well, and he's been passing the ball really well and making pretty good decisions on this Clippers team. So
unfortunately, it's not Westbrook himself I'm too worried about, but ever since Westbrook's come in, especially in that Kings game, Paul George has just been on something else late in games. He's been the one making bad decisions. He got his pocket picked twice by the Aaron Fox on consecutive plays, even last night against Denver. The night before, he wasn't handling the ball with care, and there was a turnover machine. And for me, that's just something that worries me. Another thing that worries me, I've expressed this to you previously, is what did they do together in Oklahoma?
Nothing.
Exactly. Paul George wanted to leave for a reason. So I just, I am trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to be objective. I think they stay at the 5 seed. I think they stay at the 5 seed. I don't think they drop below.
I think they'd drop below.
I just don't think the Mavericks have what it takes to catch them, personally. Internally, we saw Jason Kidd speaking about the team, how he can't be the savior and how his team needs to grow up. I don't think Kyrie and Doncic are a good fit. I think for a Clippers team, I think that they are much more established and Westbrook sort of come in and is having a minimal role, whereas I think Kyrie and Luka, the roles is a completely switch up for them. Now, the Warriors is who's behind them next. They don't have Steph Curry. If they get Steph Curry back, yeah, maybe they can jump the Clippers. But
They're
if
on
the
a
Clippers
two-game win
just
streak.
they are on a 2-game win streak. The 2 games isn't really that. I mean, it's not that
I know, but
much.
I'm saying that they're coming. They're coming.
Look, well, at this point, the Jazz are at the 8 seed. So really, I think it's the Warriors and the Mavericks who can only really catch the Clippers. I don't think the Jazz are going to continue. I don't think they're going to have a big push, personally, to get into the automatic playoffs. But I think the Clippers will figure it out. The only other thing I have to say about the Clippers is they just got to sort out their late game rotations. Now, for some reason, they continue to play Marcus Morris in the fourth quarter and overtime. And if I'm being honest, I would rather Russell Westbrook be out there than Marcus Morris. He had a shot in the corner off a timeout. He hit the top of the backboard. Then he had the game-sealing turnover for the Nuggets where he just threw a cross-court pass blatantly, which led to a transition basket. He's not a very good defender. He tries, but he's not very good. And you had Batum, who was sitting on the bench, who was a plus 10 for the team, and we saw him hit probably one of the clutchest shots for the Clippers this year at the Garden, overtime win against the Knicks. He hit a 3 on the buzzer. There's a bunch of other players, I think, who should be playing as well. I think the Clippers, from a coaching perspective, need to figure out what they're doing late in games. And if they can't figure out how to close games, they're going to go nowhere in the playoffs, Oscar. If they can't figure out how to close games, they're not going to get out of the first round. That pains me to say that, but the way it's going, they can't just dump the ball down to Kawhi every single play and expect them to do something. Because we saw in overtime, he ran out of gas. He ran out of gas in overtime because all in the fourth quarter, he dumped the ball in the post and he made bucket after bucket after bucket. That's not sustainable for a full playoff series. And
Worked for the Raptors. Worked for the Raptors.
Unfortunately, Kawhi isn't that same player. I think is he 90% of that player? Yes, but I don't think he's that same player. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see him have another historic run where he scores the third most points ever in a playoff run and leads his team to a championship. If Paul George, go on.
I don't see this, and I know you're not going to like this, but
Please, let's debate.
I don't see this Clippers team going anywhere in the next few years. I see it. It's a very middle of the road team. They got Paul George and Kawhi, obviously, who's two fantastic players. Paul George a bit inconsistent at the moment, but you got Kawhi who's really balling. But I just don't see them going anywhere. They're not blowing me away as a team, but they're not underwhelming. They're just kind of there. They're just kind of middle of the road, fourth, fifth, sixth seeded team. And when you look at previous Clippers teams, you've had a better team. You've had better teams that play better, and obviously, Lob City era, you had that team, which was insane.
Look, well, the Lob City era had a lot of problems on their own to begin with.
It had a lot of problems, but it was a better team.
They healthy either.
It was but if you look at the team, it was a better team. They What they got. What seed were they? They were like
Oh,
they,
they never got
they
higher
were
than the three
first.
seed.
Oh really? I thought they.
No, they
Okay.
never got higher
Anyway,
than the three seed.
that's what I'm saying. The Clippers, they don't. I don't see them going anywhere. I just unless they make a big move for someone else that's
Well,
really gonna help them.
I don't see what they can do at this point. Really, they got to ride with what
I
they've
know
got.
they've got Russell Westbrook now, which doesn't really help as a player. I know he's a decent player, and people love him and people hate him, but I don't see the Clippers getting into the finals. I don't see them getting into the conference finals for quite a while in this era of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I don't see it unless they make some big moves.
Yeah, listen. One thing I know is I hope if I'm the Clippers, I do not want to be seeing Denver in any round of the playoffs. For some reason, I just don't think they have recovered after what happened in the bubble with that absolute just. I don't want to swear, but it was a
Yeah,
shit show, quite
it
frankly,
was.
what happened in the bubble. And although it's really a new team, apart from the two people at the top, I think something is clearly still there, but Michael Malone and Denver just seem to have the formula that has beat the Clippers. I can't really remember the last time we even really won a game against them. The last time I can remember was Christmas Day, I think 2 years ago. And there might have been another time. I don't think we've beaten them this year. Actually, no, we haven't beaten them this year. They swept us. That was the last game. It was a 4-0 sweep of the season series. I hope we don't verse Denver. I hope someone else knocks them out for the Clippers. But I think when we talk about teams that are built for the regular season and built for the playoffs, I think if the Clippers can get their stuff sorted out, they are built for the playoffs. But
Yeah.
I there's just some issues that I just don't know if they can overcome. And I think that having a consistent I just don't think they're consistent. I think honestly they're the definition of inconsistency. And we saw that even 2 years ago where they went on that near championship run before Kawhi got injured. We saw in the first round against Dallas, they lost 3 games at home and had to go with 3 games on the road, and then the last playoff game at home. Now, in a Western Conference that I think is a matter of fine margins, there isn't a lot of difference between these teams. When push comes to shove, in my gut, I just don't trust the Clippers closing games. And in the playoffs, you got to have the ability to close games.
I mean, Kawhi Leonard's so good in the playoffs, and I think that he can drag you to probably a maybe second, third, maybe third round. Kawhi's got that dog in him. He's a baller. So I feel like Kawhi could drag the Clippers because they're not a bad team to a good playoff run, but I don't see them winning a championship or anything in the next few years.
Yeah,
They're not there yet. They're
yeah,
missing something. I don't know what it is because on paper they're a decent team, but they're missing something in the formula.
yeah. Look, we'll have to get on to our next topic, but I will sound off just by saying that when Kawhi did get injured, the other players on that team stepped up. Reggie Jackson was second in the whole playoffs that year, 3-pointers made. Obviously not on the team anymore. We saw Terrence Mann drop 40 against Utah in a game 6, conference finals. That got them to the conference finals. So whether the others can step up again, we shall see. Because I don't like the aura Westbrook brings in the playoffs, but we'll see how it pans out. It'll definitely be a topic to discuss. Obviously, I think the positive of Russell Westbrook is I can't seem to see a game where they aren't nationally televised. I look through their schedule and it says TNT, 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 TNT. Westbrook's bringing a lot of their talk. I've never seen the media talk this much about the Clippers. It's good to have some popularity. So, it feels like they're out of the basement for the time being. But we're going to get on to our final topic about the Eastern Conference because it's heating up. And personally, I think it's a 2-horse race. Philadelphia seemed to be on the outside. If
they won yesterday, I would have said
if you watched our last episode, I had some quite stern thoughts what I think of the Philadelphia 76ers. I think they're frauds, but the Milwaukee Bucks have taken the top seed in the East, Oscar. 14-game win streak. I'm 90% sure they just finished beating Brooklyn. I will double check that. Yep, they just finished beating Brooklyn. They won by 14 in the end. They ran away with it. Giannis is sort of playing healthy, sort of half injured. He went out after 6 minutes with a knee injury against the Heat. He played tonight, dominated. The Celtics played the 76ers the other night. Jason Tatum had an absolute shocker of a game until when it mattered most, and he hit quite a nasty game winner. It reminds me of when he absolutely broke Paul George's ankles 3 years ago and hit a game winner, a game tire in that game. Embiid had 41 and 12 in this game. Obviously, another insane nearly game winner at the end, but they sit 4 games. They sit 4 games behind the Celtics and the Bucks. They lost to the Heat last night. A team that they seem to can't get over beating either. So, Oscar, I want to ask you, who should be the favourites in the East to win, to come out of the Eastern Conference?
I still think Boston's going to do it. I feel like they're such a good team. When they're all healthy and they're all there, they're a really, really good team. I know. Giannis is great and all, and he wins games, and they're on a 14-game win streak. But I just feel like, I don't know, Boston, when they're healthy, they win games, and when they're healthy, when everyone's playing. And I know Jason Tatum hasn't been, last game he didn't play very well, but he stepped up. He stepped up where it mattered, and I feel like they're gonna take the East. Hope they take the East. Actually, no, I don't really. I hope Philly takes the East, but I think they are going to take the East.
Yeah, listen, I just think that Milwaukee's going to learn from their mistakes, and I'd be surprised if Giannis lost to the same opponent twice, because they're on a collision course right now in the conference finals, unless something dramatic happens with an injury or Embiid averages 60 points for a second-round playoff series. But I think that the Milwaukee Bucks should be the favorite in the East right now. They're, like I said, 14-game win streak. They are overwhelmingly playing the best basketball in the NBA, in my opinion, with, and at times even without Giannis. We see Bobby Portis coming off as a force off the bench. Chris Middleton, although he is not starting, he is coming off the bench. He's getting minutes with the first team unit, and they seem like the best built team in the NBA. They have Drew Holiday. There, who has turned himself into one of the best two-way players in the league. Great defender. He seems to just have elite fitness. He scores at ease most of the time. He's a great defender, great floor general. And in my opinion, Giannis is the best player in the NBA. And more times than not, the best player wins. We saw LeBron go to the finals for 10 straight years. We saw LeBron go to the finals. Why was that, Oscar? Because LeBron was the best player. I'm not saying Giannis is LeBron, but I'm saying Giannis is the best player in the NBA. And I think more times than not, the best player will will his team to victory. Now, I do think Jason Tatum has the ability to beat Giannis, but I think that, unfortunately, Tatum, I think, a lot of times gets a bit underwhelmed, and I think that a lot of the times he's a product of the team around him. That's my thoughts. I think we saw that in the finals. Personally, I think they got bailed out by the fact that Chris Middleton was out, and really it was just stop Giannis and we will win. That was really what it was for them.
That's just how you stop the Bucks, though. If you stop Giannis, you win. Yes, it is.
We saw in the championship run, who was hitting the shots in late games? Middleton was. Middleton was hitting the shots late in games. Giannis was making big plays all over the floor. Throughout 3.5 quarters, he would have 45, 50, but they would double Giannis, and Chris Middleton would make shots under pressure. Giannis, we saw, he can make impacts in other ways. He had that huge block on DeAndre Ayton in Game 4 on that alley-oop play. So I think if Giannis has a healthy Chris Middleton, and if both of these teams are healthy, the Milwaukee Bucks are winning this series. And I think they should be the favorites in the East. I think that they're more experienced. I also think that Joe Mazzulla, the coach of the Celtics, obviously he's doing well right now, but the playoffs are different. We see sometimes, all it takes is for one wrong coaching decision in a game. Obviously he's learned, but I think in terms of experience on the coaching staff, the Bucks have the upper hand. And unlike the Celtics, the Bucks have actually won a championship with this group that they have. So I think that they should be the favorites in the East. They're the hotter team right now, and I think they're gearing up heading into the playoffs, ready to insert Middleton into the starting lineup.
I just think it's too much for most teams when you got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum dropping 30. I just think it's too much, and then you got a good shift from one or two players on the bench. So I feel like it's too much for most teams. And I know Giannis, he can drop 40, 50 on a lot of occasions, but I see if this team can stop Giannis, I know it's a big if, but they've done it. They can do it.
Well,
I feel like
what's the old saying? You can't stop him, you can only contain him, and I think they can only contain him.
Yeah, but I'll take containing him.
This is the thing, right?
You take containing Giannis.
It's one of those situations where we see with Doncic, and I obviously being a basketball nerd and more specifically a Clippers nerd, I saw a lot when they played the Mavericks. They would let Doncic go for 50, 55, whatever he wanted, but they would say, let the others aren't going to score. We're going to let Doncic do whatever he wants. The others aren't going to score. And I think that when you have the Bucks without Chris Middleton, you say Giannis can get his 50, but we're going to really clamp down on the shooters. We're not going to give them easy buckets on the outside. But when you have Chris Middleton, then you can't easily stop them. And then that takes the scoring load off Holiday, who will probably be able to focus on defense, but also focus on scoring too. I just think that's really the formula for them. But if Middleton's not healthy, we're going to see the same result as last year.
I still like Philly.
Look, we will see. But we're going to get into a quick final topic here. Obviously, Priceless Takes. We are in episode 23. 23 is a very important number in the basketball world. We are talking about the NBA right now. So, in honor of the 23rd episode, we're going to share our thoughts on an athlete with the number 23 that meant a lot to us. And Oscar, I want you to go first. I think I know who you're going to say, but I want to see if you maybe thought outside the box a little bit with your pick.
No, I didn't. It's
okay.
It's Michael.
Okay,
Michael. He's the reason I'm a Bulls fan. I saw Michael Jordan, this beautiful man. How am I a Bulls fan? I think it was. I think I saw some Michael Jordan highlight or something one day before I even played basketball, and I was like, that's the team I wanna watch, and that's the team that I wanna be a part of that community. And he's the reason I started playing, and the reason I put so many hours into this game, and I ended up here. But he means a lot to me because of that, and he's even though I don't know him, but yeah.
Yeah, look, that's very, very touching, and I thought you might have gone and said Jimmy Butler as a little side swipe, but I
him too. He's
that.
the reason I'm a Bulls fan as well.
Yeah,
I was about to switch teams when he left, but I didn't. I stayed put.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of players I think that comes to mind. Obviously, LeBron. If Tyson was here, I'm sure he would say LeBron. But for me in particular, there's one player that touches my heart in this game, and I've seen him play live. They call him the underground GOAT because he's, in his words, he's your player's favorite player. And in my opinion, he is the best six man of all time. He leads six man in scoring, 3-time six man of the year. It's this guy, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't know how many of you remember this guy, and I don't even know if you can see my jersey because all the letters have fallen off. That's how long ago he played for the Clippers. But Lou Williams is that guy for me.
He's the piece.
Maybe he is. And I tell you what,
when 40 off the bench.
And I tell you what, when he was at the Clippers, that was an exciting time to watch basketball.
It was.
I saw him single-handedly take it to the Warriors with KD. They managed to win 2 games off of them, and I saw Lou Williams just be absolutely unstoppable off the bench. He led the largest playoff comeback in NBA history, a 29-point comeback. My battery has nearly just died there. 29-point comeback. He is that guy, and he touches my heart. Honestly, I even model my game after him, Oscar. We see myself coming off the bench, making that impact.
Yeah, off the bench.
We see myself coming off the bench, making that impact. On occasion, I get that little
talent over here and a bench player
on the occasion we see that little step to the left, like hezzy 3, But neither here nor there. Insane. Neither here nor there. Lou was insane. He was my guy.
He shouldn't have won 6 Mans of the Year because he'd come off the bench and then he'd play 30 minutes. He came off the bench. He didn't even play with the bench unit. He didn't play with the bench unit. He just played. He played 30 minutes off the bench. You can't call that a bench player.
Okay.
And he won.
He won.
And he won. How many 6 Mans did he win?
He won 3. He won 3.
He won 36 Mans playing 30 minutes. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Listen, we can agree to disagree, but 23 is a special number. Obviously, Jordan, LeBron makes the game of basketball. I think there's every player on a team that wears number 23. But thank you, everyone, for being with me for these 23 episodes. I do appreciate it. There's a lot more to come, but unfortunately, we have gone over time. Oscar, sorry for keeping you this long. I know you're a busy man, but I do appreciate you being with me. Speaking of those Clippers, I'm going to go watch them now, hopefully towel up the Timberwolves, and we will see how it goes. But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Priceless Takes episode 23. I will be back hopefully next week. I'm actually on spring break. I'll be heading to Austin, Texas for a bit of some fun time. I will hopefully be live there with or without a cowboy hat. We shall see. But keep following us on Instagram. Our website URLs are in the description below. Follower engagement's great. Really appreciate it. Keep it up. I will see you guys next time. Priceless Takes episode 23, guys. I'm your host, Luka and Oscar.